Welcome to the special edition of To the Point. Today we talk to one of the most distinguished teacher, scholar and public intellectual, Professor C P Bhambri, who has taught in Africa, United States and most important JNU. He has taught generations of students. Today we are honored to have him here on the special edition of To the Point. Welcome to the special edition of To the Point, Professor Bhambri. Professor Bhambri, you have defined the discipline of political science, social sciences as at large. You grew up in Multan and then the family migrated to UP after partition. Now tell us the milieu in which you grew up, the milieu in which the new expectations of independence was shaping the intellectual mind of yours in the 50s and 40s and 50s and 60s.
In Multan, the growth was that of an innocent young student. Partition and post-partition events slowly and gradually impacted my way of thinking on politics, society and historical development of this country. And in that process, the most important influence was that why independence with partition. India won this freedom after great struggles against colonial rulers, and as I was studying books on nationalism, colonialism, the power of nationalism as it was evolving in this country was impacting not only me, but my young class fellows and especially my college teachers. They were the real inspiration for creative thinking on what is India. How have we got freedom? What is the meaning of this freedom?
So was the independence was a big milestone?
As I was growing and during the college days, it became a very important historical reference point. As I said, independence was a great victory for struggling masses of India and partition. So, these two were part of my development, but as I settled down and during college days, the only concern was, what is this country?
So why did you take political science and how does it shape your intellectual development thereafter? You worked on parliament, public sector for your PhD in those 50s in UP. How do you see that? Why did you take that kind of a trajectory?
You see, even during BA classes, I was getting excited about history, economics and political science, because that was a kind of route towards understanding social environment not only confined to India, but also international. So, this brought me sharply to political science, that this is the discipline which will answer my queries, concerns, doubts, problems on the basis of interdisciplinary approaches which I was taught, economics and history. So, political science became a kind of master science for me as a key to understand how is this country and its face is going to be conditioned.
It's a fascinating discussing discipline and the country's own trajectory. We'll take a short break and come back to discuss with Professor Bhambri. Don't go away. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV. Welcome back. We are talking to Professor Bhambri. Professor Bhambri, when freedom came, a lot of people, even today, were very skeptical of freedom, India's independence. And as a Marxist, you are committed Marxist political scientist, as we all knew you in our student days, also expressed their unhappiness about this whole question of, they all thought, and many others, even today, the rumors go on, that it was a partial freedom, just political freedom. No economic, social freedom came. Feudal oppression still raged on, caste oppression. How do you think after a long gap of 60, 65 years, 70 years, India's development, was it just political or something else?
You are absolutely right that there was a lot of skepticism about the real meaning of freedom. That is it formal? Is it formal democracy? Especially when I was reading books of various kinds, history, especially economic history of India, where we inherited all the structures of complete underdevelopment and backwardness. So, there was a dream that independent India will break them and will come out of this. So, there was a kind of vacillation, ambivalence at that time, which is natural for a generation, young and middle-aged and old, who were used to a particular kind of routine, stable life, ongoing process. Now, looking back, in the winter of 1951, I attended a large public meeting, election meeting addressed by Jawaharlal Nehru in Phool Bagh, Kanpur.
Okay.
And after 45 minutes of his speech, two ideas came directly before me as worth pursuing further. One, Nehru said, religion and politics, whether Hindu or Muslim, will destroy this country. And second, through our own struggles, we have to build a new India. So, this through our own struggles became my concern of studies and politics.
These struggles, You have been watching, writing, reading, articulating, teaching people about popular struggles. But since 70s, you have been a consistent critique of this Maoist movement. You have even called them anti-Marxist. How is it? Do you see they have a progressive role in India's political structure or movements?
It is very, very unfortunate that many young, educated, idealistic kind of people have been attracted to an ideology which is suicidal.
Maoist ideology.
Because Maoism, the politics of gun and annihilation of class enemies, does not recognize the ongoing process of democracy in this country, where so many spaces exist for mass struggle, for the eradication of poverty, for establishing a just society. Hence, Maoism has not only not achieved anything, it has vitiated the atmosphere to an extent that people have started saying all Marxists are revolutionaries who believe in violence.
Marxist is no violence.
So, Marxism and violence was a kind of stereotype thinking, and it was confirmed by the Maoists. So, my real critique was that Indian democracy, as I said, beginning with Nehru's speech in the winters of 1951, I have studied very closely that slowly and gradually social consciousness, social assertions and demand for rights have been not only increasing, people have started understanding this is my right.
This is an exciting discussion. We'll take it further. We'll take a short break. Don't go away anywhere. Keep watching Rajya Sabha TV. Welcome back to the special edition of To The Point. We were having a very fascinating discussion with Professor C P Bhambri. Professor Bhambri, about popular assertions. Now you have been writing again and articulating very vociferously your points against all kinds of communalism, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh. Now Hindu communalism, for example, was in the margins. It's come to the center of our life, social life. How do you see this, it's developing, what kind of effect it has on our popular mass movements, our polity, our democracy?
Nehruvian model and model of all socially progressive parties and movements was built on the ideology of secularism in India, where religion would be a private affair, public life will have nothing to do with religion. One partition was enough, no more partitions on the basis of religion. This was a pillar in which it is not only Nehruvian model, but all social progressive forces in this country, they were committed to this. Constitution of India is committed to this. As the historical process starts moving, it is not essential that something which you cherished necessarily becomes strong, because there is a dialectics of it, it may become weak. Its weakness has come for two reasons. One, the Hindutva forces which play on emotive issues, raise irrational issues, have been slowly and gradually marching forward. And 6 December 1992, when Babri Mosque was destroyed at Ayodhya, sent a warning to all social progressive forces that look here, this is now the real face of majority communalism.
But do you think some kind of, you have also written about the caste based and identity based politics. Now, do they face a danger? You have been writing on democracy. Now, these identity, caste, single identity based movements or assertions, do they pose any kind of danger to democracy or popular movement?
Any single identity, whether language or religion or caste or region, in a country of continental size like India, where all kind of diversities which you cannot imagine in any country of the world exist, where unifying factors have to be on the basis of pluralism, secularism and larger picture of what India is, only that unites. That is not happening. So, there is no large picture now. What do you want to make this country? Once you do not have a large picture before the masses, so political parties do not have a large picture, so they have caste loyalty, so they mobilize on the basis of caste. Once you mobilize on the basis of caste, it is caste versus caste.
No, in this milieu, for instance, you taught in Meerut, Muradabad, Kanpur, Jaipur, JNU, Missouri, Africa. Now, intellectuals like you have played a very key factor, and plus you have also motivated the university and college institutional life. How do you think the intellectuals and universities are playing their role at this critical juncture of country, of our society?
You see, universities were always, intellectuals were always an integral part of scientific ideological thinking. The role of ideas in the making of society, in the making of human social consciousness has been recognized in history. So, Indian universities had also played a very important role during independence movement and also during post-independence movement. My teachers used to discuss class by class when constitution was being framed, and there used to be serious debates within the class when they came to teach us and in the staff rooms. And they also wrote in popular newspapers. And then as it grew, whether non-alignment foreign policy is a correct policy or not, intellectuals were involved. So, intellectuals as a part of larger society, where large issues were being raised and where large issues were being discussed, intellectuals were also active in making their own contribution. From the beginning of 1990s, only large issue is how to establish Hindu Rashtravad. There is no other alternative to counter this ideology, which is a dangerous ideology, and an ideology which gives hope to the masses of this country. because growth per se cannot be a large picture.
I think with this discussion is a fascinating discussion, and like every other discussion with Professor Bhambri, for generations of students from 1950s and 60s and 70s, we close this show with thanking him profusely for this, I think, fascinating discussion, which will encourage our generations of students and public life as such. Thank you, Professor Bhambri.
Thank
you so
you,
much.
Rakesh. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I must say, growth cannot be an ideology to move society with some social goals.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching this special edition of To The Point. Thank you. Thank you for watching Rajya Sabha TV.